Before history was written, before borders, flags, or names existed, there was a story whispered by the earth itself. A story about where black people came from and why they were created first. Stay with me until the end, because this story is not just about the past. It is about identity, purpose, and remembering who you are. Long before books and empires, African elders believed something powerful. They believed the world was born from darkness, not light. Not evil darkness, but deep, rich, life-giving darkness. The kind of darkness where seeds grow, where babies form, where creation begins. In many African traditions, the gods did not rush creation. They shaped it slowly, with care, with intention. And when the gods were ready to create human life, they began in Africa, not by accident, but by design. The elders said the first humans were made from the soil of the earth itself. Dark soil, strong soil, living soil. That is why black skin was seen as sacred, not as a color, but as a connection to the earth. One ancient story speaks of Obatala, a creator spirit. Another speaks of Ta, who spoke life into existence. Others tell of Niam, Olajumer, Amma, or are different names. Same message. The gods looked at the earth and said, life must begin where the land is strongest. So they shaped the first people with care. They gave them deep skin to protect them from the sun, strong bodies to survive the land, and minds to understand rhythm, nature, and balance. The elders said the gods gave black people memory, not just memory of facts, but memory of spirit. That is why African culture relied on stories, drums, songs, and dance. Because wisdom was not written, it was remembered. The gods were not saying one group was better than another. That was never the lesson. The lesson was this: every people come from somewhere, but the beginning holds responsibility. According to these teachings, being first meant being caretakers, guardians of balance, teachers of rhythm, harmony, and life. The gods taught that black people were created to understand suffering and survival, to know joy and pain deeply, to turn hardship into culture and wounds into wisdom. But then something changed. Conflict/struggle as time passed. People forgot the stories. Empires rose. Greed grew. And humans began ranking one another. Skin that once meant connection to earth was turned into a reason for oppression. The same darkness that once symbolized creation was labeled as something negative. The elders said this hurt the balance of the world. Because when people forget their origin, they forget their purpose. And when black people were torn from their land, stripped of their names, and told they came from nothing, the wound was not just physical, it was spiritual. The gods' teachings were buried under chains and silence. Here is the question African elders often asked: if a tree forgets its roots, can it still stand tall? The gods warned that forgetting identity would bring confusion, not only for black people, but for the whole world. Because Africa was not just a place, it was a starting point. And when the starting point is disrespected, the journey becomes lost. Climax: remembering the truth, but the story does not end in pain. African wisdom teaches that memory can be awakened, not through anger, not through hate, but through understanding. The gods never promised an easy path. They promised endurance. They said, you will be tested, you will be broken, but you will never be erased. And history proved them right. Despite slavery, despite colonization, despite lies told for generations, black culture survived, music survived, faith survived, rhythm survived, soul survived. That survival was the lesson the gods planted at the beginning. The gods were not only talking about black people, they were teaching all humanity something important. From darkness comes life. From struggle comes strength. From memory comes meaning. The story of black origins is a reminder that pain does not cancel purpose, that suffering does not erase worth, and that identity is deeper than what the world says about you. So what is the lesson for you today? Whether you are black or not, this story speaks to something universal. It asks, do you know where you come from? Do you respect the roots that made you? Have you allowed the world to define your value? The African gods taught that identity is not given by others. is remembered from within. They taught that people who survive the deepest pain often carry the deepest wisdom. And they reminded us that the beginning of humanity was not weak. It was strong enough to last. So the next time you hear the word dark, remember it once meant creation. The next time history tries to erase a people, remember the earth itself remembers. And the next time you doubt your worth, ask yourself this: if I was created from the soil of survival, how could I ever be nothing? Final message to the audience: if this story made you think, if it made you feel, then carry its lesson forward. Respect origins, honor identity, and never forget, every human story begins in darkness. But not every human remembers that darkness was divine.